Happy Thursday. Let me get Kadyn in here. I have been so thrown off this week. I keep thinking today's Wednesday. When it was yesterday, I was thinking today was Friday. I'm so thrown off this week. Hey, how's it going?
Oh, good. You?
Good. Let's see, get this all weird. Sweet. How's it going?
Good, good. Sorry, let me get that. All right. Hold on. I'm distracted.
You're good.
There we go. Things are going good. As I got my notes up for what I wanted to talk about, close those.
I know I have a couple notes here too.
Yeah.
Put a title on this one. Clearly I'm not on my A game today. Leave the people.
Don't tell the people that.
I know.
But yeah, you brought this one up, just resources. What kind of resources we've liked. I mean, the one I'm going to pass along is something that made me start to think about real estate more, and stuff like that. But just things that are beneficial for real estate investing, and just, I guess, overall financial benefit to people.
Yeah. And I have some for, like, if you're in real estate, that are good resources if you're in the real estate industry, lending, title, real estate itself, that I have found to be good resources for me as well.
I could probably really expand off this and have really dive in. Okay, now it's really good for marketing and sales. Yeah. I'm sure I could, but
I think we can do a lot more of those kinds of podcasts. When I'm in the car and listening to like audiobooks, and I could be better about using, that time. But
I try to use the car to get away for a hot second. Just turn my brain off. I usually for comedians and listening to sports stuff. So, but books are. I think books are always good. You do your reading in the car. I do my reading in the sauna. That's why it's 20 minutes away from my phone anyway, and I just go sit there. Even though there's a sign that says no reading material,
it just melts away.
Yeah, it just
disintegrates.
Yeah. Do you want to share yours, or do you want me to go off mine?
Yeah. So a couple. So one thing that Windermere specifically is really big on is ninja selling, and it's basically a relationship-based method of sales. And so I'm actually attending the conference next week, but I've read a book and they have a ton of different resources, and it's one thing that my brokerage really pushes, and we have a lot of resources there. And it's really, really great because I think both of us really thrive to build our connections based off of relationships. And so there's a lot of really great tools and methods to understanding not only how the psychology of humans work, but how you can utilize that to better relationships with them, so that at the end of the day, people who are working with you because they know, like, and trust you because of the things that you've done for them. So
yeah, 100%. I have another loan officer. He's reading that book right now. He actually just cited it in our office meeting today. So
yeah, really super inspirational. It was the first audiobook that I bought, and so now I'm maybe I want the hard copy so that I can highlight it, and it's really good. And Larry Kendall wrote it, and he's just really inspirational. So it's a good one.
I know, that one's on my list. I got to read that one next.
Yeah, highly recommend.
Yeah.
And then one that I read recently, which doesn't really relate to real estate at all, but it's Hood Feminism, and it's basically how we can use our, how feminism is kind of broken down basically, but how you can use it to work. And I took it as ways to work it into daily life, because there's a lot of fair housing and all those kinds of things that you have to think about daily. And so it really gives you a better perspective. And it wasn't an easy read by any means. It's a lot of hard truths that you need to kind of focus on. But that was a good one for me to.
So dive into that a little bit more. So is it more so because when you hear feminism or feminist, it's the movement. That's initially but it's also that's just describing a type of personality, or I don't want to get too into the weeds.
Yeah, no, it's kind of a little bit of both. It is a movement to an extent, but how do you support that movement, and are you really supporting that movement?
That's what I'm saying, yeah.
Want to, and cling on to it and say I'm a feminist, when you aren't doing all of the things to really support different groups and different sex and all those kind of things to actually or an ally or anything like that. So I thought it was a good read.
Yeah, I mean, anything that would strengthen values or what your purpose is going to benefit you in work or anything in life.
And make you take a deeper look at like, okay, what am I doing? Like, am I doing the right things? Can I be better? What can I do to be better? Those kinds of things. So I think those are always good books. They're not always fun books, but they're
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Um, are there any other ones that come to mind? Or
um
those?
done a whole lot of reading in terms of like those kinds of books. I'm just getting into reading a little bit more, and so I have a couple that I want to read. I've always loved Million Dollar Listing,
Mm,
and so Ryan Serhant has always been someone that I kind of admired. I thought that he did a really great job, and I think that he also values the relationships. And he's a super salesy person, but he does it in a way that's like, okay, you know, I work with him. He's fun. He does a lot of really creative marketing. So he has a couple books that I'd love to read. And then Atomic Habits is also on my list of ones to read soon. So
as you should. It's not on my list today for specific to real estate, but that was one I read this year. It was the one right after I read Subtle Art.
oh yeah,
Super good, super good. Just of like, okay, this is what I need to do, but then also reasons why, and then like backstories. I did a social media class down here, and I cited something from that book because I thought it was be on the lookout. I will tell you for the case study talking about a Florida photography teacher.
mm,
It always stood out to me. Whenever you read that, just remember I said that.
okay,
Okay.
right.
Um, and yeah, I mean those that when I think of those, you think of the old term like self help, but
Yeah,
it's not. Like it's like self improvement, but also there's things that you read and you go, I never thought of that.
right.
And I think that's what I look for. Give me 3 things I've never thought of just to give me perspective.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Atomic Habits, I would fully back up, 100%. And then I guess for me, books and resources that have always stood out to me, and I feel like a lot of people in finance or anything to do with finance have cited this book specifically, Rich Dad Poor Dad.
Mm,
I remember reading that. I remember reading it in like 2017, and it was just all breaking down the goal you should have with money, how money should flow for you, where the money should be, understanding assets and liabilities. Like specific for real estate, it is owning a home is a liability until it becomes an asset.
right.
So it's not day to day an asset, but over time, once you access that money, has now become an asset. Whether you sell, use that money to buy other things that may produce cash flow. That was the first time I'd heard cash flow. It was like, how can you use money to make you money?
Right.
And it can be flowing into, specifically, like what the thing that stood out the most was, doesn't matter how much money you have in the bank, it's how much cash flow do you have coming in. And I remember hearing about passive income and financial freedom from that book. And that book came out, I don't even remember, I'm guessing early 2000s.
Huh?
It's been, I think I might be wrong, but it's been out for a while. And that has always been passive income, cash flow, because it creates financial freedom, time. And if you have enough cash flow coming in to outweigh your debts, you are now financially free.
Yeah.
So that was a big one. And that's immediately when I started thinking about real estate and wanting to own a rental property one day.
Yeah, and that's a good one. I went to a little event the other day, and the people who were hosting it were saying that they became millionaires based off of like decisions that they made, and they never made more than $150,000 in a year, which might seem like a lot, but like in today's society, I don't
Yeah.
think that it's outlandish per household. And that's how they became millionaires, is they just utilized their wealth, and they I don't know what the word, like, allocated it
Yeah.
accordingly, buy properties and then eventually sell those properties off, or use them as an ADU, or use them as a rental property. And then now, this was like 4 or 5 years ago, so it wasn't even that long ago, and now they're a
Mhm.
million. So like
Yeah.
anybody can do it. You just have to be what's the word? I cannot think of words today.
I was diligent, determined,
Diligent. Yeah, yeah, diligent.
persistent. Yeah.
Um, there's another word that I'm thinking of.
Consistent. There's so many
Yeah,
words.
yeah. But
But
anyone can, I think that's important to realize. So that would be a good book, I think, is just to help with money mindset. It
100%.
sounds
And then also the understanding of like what a millionaire is, and it's
yeah,
not someone who has $1 million in their bank.
right,
And it's just someone who has. You could have 3 homes, and the equity you have in 3 homes can make you a millionaire.
right, exactly.
So that was that. Robert Kiyosaki wrote that book, Rich Dad Poor Dad. He also wrote a kind of a follow-up book, Cash Flow Quadrant. So both of those are super good for like understanding finances and everything like that. Totally would recommend doing that if you're now. It just really gets down to the fundamentals, and that's what I think has always been. People try to outthink the room or try to recreate the wheel, and it's like just go back to the fundamentals because it still works. Just people do it at a larger scale.
Definitely.
Yeah. What kind of do you have listen to any podcasts?
Yeah, I do. I've been more of on an audiobook kick lately. But the podcasts that I will go to that are real estate related are Hustle Humbly. It's by 2 women in the same market. They're in the like Louisiana, New Orleans area, I believe. And they've been in the industry for like 10 and 15 years, I think, respectively ish. But they talk about like how they've grown their business, and they're super relaxed. Nothing is like in your face, and it's just like 2 friends chatting every week. But it's fun because they're in the same market, and like one thing that's really important to me is collaboration over competition. And so it's see that people are doing that in every market. I think it can be a really lonely industry, and so finding people to back you up, understanding what you're going through is really crucial when you get into the industry. So that's a good one. And then another one that's like just kind of fun. I think this is like 30-minute episodes. It's called Socially Modern, hosted by Stephanie Mainville, and she's an EXP agent out of Phoenix. So that's a good one too. They're short, sweet, simple topics, but you can really utilize them in your day-to-day life.
Yeah, and going back to collaboration over competition, wasn't that the name of the event you went to?
No, I went to a dinner a few weeks ago, and that they hosted Heather Maddox and Tracy Gillette created a group basically called Collaboration Over Competition.
Got it.
So they do like every other month dinners with like 12 agents, and it's just a time to get together with other agents who are like-minded, and it's really cool. I went to the event that I went to the other day was called Get Your Shift Together. So it's just different speakers talking about how they will like advise to survive this shifting market. It was really good.
Yeah, and I'm so happy that people started doing. I think it's more people our age, and not even just our age, but like this new era of real estate that everyone's just like, well, what if we find the people that we like and we try to help them versus like everyone trying to do everything on their own.
Yeah.
Because you can try and win together. And ultimately, all we're doing is trying to help people. So it's not like it really should be this competition.
Yeah.
And just people mesh with other people better, and that's really what it comes down to. But trying to boost all that each personality.
I don't really listen to a lot of like investing podcasts or money podcasts. It's on my list of things that I'd like to do. But how about you? It sounds like you might have a couple.
I have one. I've not listened to it as much recently, but Bigger Pockets. I'm sure you've heard of that one.
Yeah.
It was Brandon Turner for a while. I'm pretty sure he stepped away. I can't remember the new main hosts, but that was always good because they would talk about real life scenarios. Hey, here's what's going on. With this certain investment deal, this is what made sense. What to do with like flipping. Brandon Turner, who started it, was originally out of Grace Harbor. So that was cool. That's where he started doing all of his real estate investing. Yeah. You would never think like, oh, the guy with like one of the biggest real estate podcasts started in Grace Harbor. Right. Yeah. So, but that's always a good one because it's like real life scenarios. They talk about what they're going through. He always talks about it can be as expansive as like they're wanting to try and buy mobile home parks, or it can be as simple as someone calls in and wants to talk to them about, hey, I have 2 or 3 investment properties. What should I do next, or how do I do my first one? For me when I first started as a loan officer, it was nice for me to hear that, and then also like so understanding like from what I know about regulations and guidelines, and then thinking like, okay, here's how people doing it, and with creative financing like seller financing and anything like that. So that's a very good one if someone's like, I want to get into real estate investing. Bigger Pockets would be the one to go to.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah.
Any other ones that you advise or like?
Not that I can think of. Trying to think through different people on Instagram, like listening to them talk.
Mm.
Ryan Pineda. If I were to switch from podcast to like just listen to certain people, Ryan Pineda on Instagram is a very good one.
Okay.
Very similar situation. Talks. He was a former baseball player. Got drafted, kind of worked his way out of that, and then just kind of hustled, flipped couches, and then got into real estate. And he just talks about his stories.
Yeah.
What was that?
I think I've seen something with him talking about flipping.
Does he have like purple hair?
I don't remember.
Yeah, he has some hair different color hair going on. But that's another resource. But be happy to share anything. Like a lot of the info I've always gotten is I need to stop consuming as much content. But like there's been content and like making sure I'm listening to the right people.
Yeah.
One who's not quite in real estate but just good business minded is Alex Hormozy. He's more in the fitness space, business, gym space, super good. But my main thing has been books and kind of the self-development to then move it into the business of what I've been listening to a lot or reading a lot lately.
Nice.
Yeah.
What about like for fun? What are your go-to like podcasts for fun?
Okay. Do you know who Tom Segura is?
I've heard the name.
So he's a comedian. He has 2 podcasts, one with his wife, one with Bert Kreischer. I listen to him. He's been my favorite comedian since like 2014, and he's kind of just really blown up. And I'll listen to him. Monday, Wednesdays, religious on the drive into work, and then I've started sports betting a little bit, and actually been finding some success. So I listen to other people talk about it because I love sports already, and then listening to the side of like. I've been talking about this too much recently. I gotta stop. But it's like fun to me because it's like I already enjoy all the sports and sitting there watching football, specifically football, but then breaking it down on the side of, okay, here's what people are looking out for.
Yeah.
It's just another layer of it to me, or for me.
Very
what's
cool.
What's your go-to for fun?
I'm a big true crime person, so
That doesn't surprise
me. Crime Junkie. Again, they're like 30 to 45-minute episodes. And I got into it with My Favorite Murder, and there's a lot of fluff in those episodes. They can be like upwards of an hour and a half, and a lot of them talking. And so Crime Junkie is like the stories, but also no fluff. So it's kind of nice. And I also think they're pretty educational because it's important to like always be watching your back. And it's taught me a lot of things to like stay safer in a world. And now that I'm in real estate, it really has me like always looking around my surroundings. So
yeah, I mean, so what I learned is that from Ted Bundy is that you don't go help some random stranger with their Volkswagen Bug.
No.
Even though you've had no experience fixing said car. So yeah.
Are you guys? Don't do it.
Don't do it. Don't find yourself in these situations.
Yes.
Did you ever listen to Cold?
Cold?
Oh.
No.
Cold. So it's a podcast. Do you remember listening to who Susan Powell is?
No.
It's home. It's from Washington. It's in Washington, Utah. I'll send it to you after this.
Okay.
It was fully done in 2019. You have seasons of it.
Wow.
Yeah, you're going to enjoy it.
Is it about cold cases?
So it's technically at this point a cold case. I don't want to ruin it if someone else. I mean, it was a huge story. So.
Clearly, I don't love it that much.
Yeah, well, it was a major event and it actually happened right around Kelsey's neighborhood when she was young. I can't remember the year. I'll send it to you. I'll call you after this so I can fully explain it so I'm not ruining it. Right?
Okay.
Go listen to Cold.
Well, don't ruin it for me.
What was that?
I said you can't ruin it for me if you call me.
I'll give you the quick rundown.
Okay, sounds good. Yeah, so I mean, I think that's all that I have. Like, if you're out there wanting to get into real estate, there's a lot of really great resources. That's kind of how I spent my time. When I first started, it was just scrolling content on Instagram, finding podcasts that I could listen to while I was just hanging out at home. And then recently I've started getting more into like books, like actually physically reading, and then audiobooks. So those are really good, but highly recommend just